ಹ್ಞೂ ಸರಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡೋಣ ತಡ್ರಿ, ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ.
Yes, sir, you can start.
ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ? ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು.
Sir, should we start or we are waiting for other students to join in?
We will wait for another 2-3 minutes.
Sure, sir.
Only 2-3 minutes we will wait. Because
No
students
problem.
are joining. Pradeep,
Sir.
start ಮಾಡೋಣವಾ ಹೀಗೆ?
ಹಾಂ ಸರ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಸರ್. ಲೆಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಜಾಯಿನ್.
And okay, Shakti sir.
Yes, sir.
We shall start then.
Absolutely. Would you like to start or should I do that?
No, you start, sir.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Balchan sir.
Huh?
Balchan sir, start recording sir.
ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ is started. We can proceed.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. I am Shakti Singh from Incubate India, and I welcome you all to this workshop for GitHub that is hosted by KLEIT. To introduce, Code Innovation Series is a collaborative initiative between GitHub and Incubate India that aims to create an open source platform for colleges and students across India to ignite the passion among students and to build a better world along with to support open source. And to introduce about GitHub, GitHub is a subsidiary of Microsoft, which provides hosting for software development and version control using Git. It offers the distributed version control and source code management functionality of Git. And let me just brief about what Incubate India is. Incubate India is the largest and the fastest growing community of technology innovators, including startups and student developers. I would also like to extend my thanks to Mr. Swami sir, who has been constant support with us to execute this into their campus. So would you like to say something? That would be great.
Yeah. So it was, I think we started to interact with Incubate India and GitHub around 4 to 5 months back. So during this COVID situation, we thought of executing it. Actually, this was a very old thought process that we are doing, and this time we are able to execute it. And I received, I troubled a lot, Mr. Shakti, for many days, and finally we are able to execute this event. Of course, the participation of the student was also nice. More participation, I think we can expect in our next activity that we are going to do. Okay, so I wish all the students, I suggest rather that you take this workshop, take the notes of it, see that how the GitHub is used, so that we can use it for even in our academics also. So this is a very important workshop for all of us, including me, because I will also be learning a lot from today on using the GitHub for my professional development. So today we shall start with the workshop, and on Saturday we are having the hackathon day, where we will be interacting a lot again on that day. Okay, now I request and I would like to introduce to all the students that Pradeep sir and Girish sir will be the mentor in the college. So now I request Shakti Singh to take up the stage and proceed with the proceedings.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would like to introduce, we have with us today's mentor, Kaushik Roy with us. He is a principal architect at Incubate India. So he'll be guiding us through the whole session from A to Z, from your dashboard to the console itself, and how can you proceed with the hackathon submission of your code. He'll be guiding us throughout. So over to you. The virtual mic is yours, Kaushik.
Thanks a lot, Shakti. So without wasting any much of time, let's get into today's session, which is what is GitHub and how we can understand the principles of GitHub. So I'd request the host to enable the screen sharing for me if possible, so that I can share my screen.
Pradeep?
So could you just give Kaushik the access?
Yes,
He
yes.
cannot share the screen.
Uh,
Also, an important thing for all the participants that are there in the Zoom room and also watching on the YouTube channel. Keep yourself logged into your GitHub account. Keep doing it what Kaushik does on his screen along the way and ask as much queries you can.
Sir,
Hello.
Could
Hey.
you please allow screen sharing for me?
your end, you do it, sir.
ಹಲೋ ಯಾರು ಸರ್ ಇದು ಅದು ನೀವು ಲಾಗಿನ್ ಆಗ್ರಿ ಅದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ನೀವು ಏನು ಸರ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ now you check sir Kaushik.
Yeah, I'm checking just.
Sir, you
No,
can
it
share the
still says
screen.
host disable participant screen sharing. So if you could make me the co-host, it would be good.
Okay, I'll do it.
One second, one second. Uh, it's possible. Okay.
ಕೌಶಿಕ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಬಾಲಚಂದ್ರ ಸರ್
ಕೌಶಿಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್
ಕೌಶಿಕ್
ನಾ
ಅಂತ
ಶಕ್ತಿ ಸಿಂಗ್ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು
ಯಾರನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರನ್ನಲ್ಲ ಕೌಶಿಕ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಕೆಳಗೆ
Yeah, I will make. Yes, sir. Now you can do that, sir. Sir, you can share the screen. Kaushik Roy.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks. So hope the screen is visible right now.
not yet sir.
Yes, we are able to see that.
Okay, so let's get started with today's session. And when we are talking of GitHub or anyone speaks of GitHub in the developer community or when we are talking of in the industry, what we try to mean is it's an open source version control system which is used throughout at different places, different institutes to manage the code and collaborate among the developers. So now there's a reason why GitHub is so popular, and one must be asking a query that what GitHub is. So before we jump into today's session and understand what GitHub is and why it is so necessary, what we will do is we will get through the entire process, that is what is version control actually, to understand why Git was necessary. We would be understanding what is Git, taking a guide through the GitHub and understanding how to create a repository, learn some of the commands, whether it is add or commit or status and branch. And then we would be forking. And at the end, we would be doing a task which involves all the participants of today's session to complete a task for which you would be awarded a certificate from Incubate India, as well as what you would be receiving at the end is that the entire procedure on how to submit your code during the hackathon. So the GitHub hackathon, which would be taking place on in your college campus, would require you to complete the following steps, which you would be doing today in the task, and only then you would be eligible to submit the code. So without wasting a much of time, let's move ahead. So let's take in an example wherein you are working on a project and you have got a lot of versions of it ready. So you are working on a, say for example, a front end development code, and you have come up with different iterations. First you had added a header file, and then you feel that you need to add in some animations to that header file. So every day you come up with changes, new features, some of which you like, some of which you do not like. So at the end, you may have a cluttered environment, say as to this, which has lots of versions of different systems, different iterations of the project. Now this creates a clutter onto your system, and that is the issue why most of us face the trouble or challenge while picking up a version. So say I had created a website which was looking good, but at that time I did not feel that it was good, and later on, say for example 15 days post it, you feel that you want to use that website. So how would you do that? You would either scroll through the entire directories, go into the subfolders, check, okay, I had created this website on that day. Or the other way around could be, you could have a repository or a directory structure which has the timestamp of each project files that you had submitted or the changes that you have made to the original file, because ultimately these are all the changes which you work on to the same file or the project files. So why create multiple copies while you can have the same changes involved and stored somewhere onto a cloud system? So this was one of the issues, that you had multiple versions, and once you are working in a group project, or for example you are working in a team project which involves, say for example 4 to 5 people working on different projects, then there are challenges which may arise, like I'm not able to switch to users, I'm not able to get the commands from different parts of the developers. So there are lots and lots of examples which come in, and to face those examples or to cover up those challenging aspects, you need to have a contribution management system which allows you to manage the contributors at different times. Just taking an example, I'll say I'm a backend developer and I'm working on the backend part of the code, but I need a front end developer as well to pull in few changes. Now, I would be waiting till the time the front end developer comes up with a change and allows me to make those changes. Other way around, what we can do is that I at the backend code would be making the changes. Similarly, at the same time, the front end guy works on it, and then we both merge our code. So that won't be possible without a system which manages it or is smart enough to merge those changes. Now, this was the need throughout, but no one had adhered to it. But when Linus Torvald, who created Linux actually, so I hope most of you must be knowing what Linux is. So once he created Linux, he faced the same issues of managing the versions, managing the features that he had kept on adding, but he felt, okay, I should not keep these or I should keep these. So he came up with a solution which is known as, which was a version control system known as Git. Now there were certain challenges with Git. The one being, it was only able to share the files or manage the version in a same network, which was connected either through internet, or that is which was connected through a wired network. Now moving up ahead to today's generation, when we have different people or from the same team, that is a group of bunch of developers working in Delhi, other one working in Bangalore, and someone in London. So how do you take on this challenge that you need to collaborate together? So GitHub came up with this own solution which was based on Git, wherein you can have your online repositories which store the entire code into a cloud version of a directory, from where you can pull in the changes and push the changes. So basically what we are doing is that we are maintaining a central located repository or a directory to which you can pull in or push changes anytime as you wish. So if we move ahead, what we will see is that we first need to install Git onto our systems to be able to use Git onto our coding base. Other way around, if we want to use GitHub, that is, let's just come up over here, which says how to use GitHub. We would be using different practices. Say, for example, we would be required to have an account over here and for the other steps. So before I move in with what GitHub is and get into the hands-on mode, I would request everyone to set up with a desktop or a laptop with an internet connection and have GitHub account already created, so that we can go through the entire steps together, as well as complete a task which involves generating a fork and generating a pull request, so that you understand the principle of submitting the code and later on you are able to complete the GitHub project. Uh, as talking about the advantages of this project and this task, I would say that uh, while working with GitHub, what you would get to know, get to understand is that if you are a participant of this hackathon, you would be getting GitHub education pack, which comes in with lots of goodies and bunch of packages, like you get coupons for Azure, you get coupons for AWS, you get different account accessibilities, even you get your own domain name, and you can host your own website onto the internet. Say for example, my name is Kaushik, so I'll be getting kaushik.me as my host. So these are the features which we get over the period of time. Now once we move up ahead, there are different goodies available for the hackathon winners as well. So I request everyone to log on to github.com, and let's just move over there so that we can understand what GitHub is. I hope everyone has got a GitHub account and we can move ahead. So I'll just wait for a minute, I would say, and then once everyone logs onto their GitHub account, we will go through the understanding principles of what GitHub commands are and how we can utilize it, and then later on we would understand those things. I'll just wait for a minute for everyone to get started. So hope everyone has got their GitHub ready. So once you log on to github.com, what you would see is a screen like this, which has your username on the left hand side. And if you scroll over here, you would find different features of your profile. You can also visit your profile. But what we would be doing is that we would be creating a repository today so that we understand how to work with it. I'll simply just switch over to the home page, that is github.com. I'd go to click new repository, that is create a new repository. So once again, as I was saying, a repository is a directory through which you can make changes as well as replicate those changes for other people to use across the GitHub. Now, moving on to here, I would just name it, say for example, hello GitHub in KLEIT. Now, as you can see, there are two options, one being the public one and the other being the private one. So as the name states, if you select a public repository, what you get is anyone on the internet who has a link to your GitHub repository or wishes to make some changes or contribute to your repository can make those contributions. While if you have a private repository, the only those people who you have provided the access to would be able to access your codes or the GitHub account. So moving on next, we would be selecting a README file so that we state in the instructions for running the GitHub code or the environment variables or the platform that would be required to create those. And then just click on create repository. So once you have created a repository, what you need to do is you will either have to make those changes directly over here, or the other way around would be so this is the cloud repository or a cloud system. repo or a directory. So we call repository as repo in a slang. So this is a directory through which you can access all the codes that you are maintaining. And if you want to make some changes or work on your local system, all you need to do is go to code, click on clone, and select the HTTPS version and copy the git link. Now moving over to your local system, just open a editor. Say for example, I would be using VS Studio Code. Now if you would see carefully, what I'll do is I'll just type in a few commands like say git, which states this is a git command, clone, and then enter the repository link. And once you press enter, you will see is that a repository or a directory has already been created in the left panel. So once you have seen that a repository has been created locally onto your system, all you need to do is go over here. You will find the readme.md. What we will do is that we will start with creating a file so that we can add in a project. So I'll just quickly go add in a new file, name it index.html. Add in an HTML code, type in the title, say for example GitHub in KLEIT. I will add in some instructions, say for example now if you would see, once I press Ctrl S, it shows that it has been untracked. And now if I open the terminal and I say git add, which states that this file would be added onto the GitHub repository, local repository, you would observe that this U would change to A. And then if I type in git commit, which means that I would be adding in a message. Say for example, I would just type in I have started the project. So these messages are for my fellow developers who would be working on this project simultaneously or would be using this repository. So they get to understand that, okay, what has been done and what has not yet been done. And then I will push those changes, that is these changes. So if I just get over to the GitHub and refresh it to see whether those changes have reflected or not, you could see none of the changes are over here, and there is only one readme.file, but over here it is an index file as well. So all you need to do is you simply need to push those changes so that those are reflected onto the remote repository. So as soon as I do this and then move over to here and I refresh it, what you will observe is that the index.html that I had created locally is now present for everyone on this link. So this way, what you get to do is you get the feature of having collaborated with different people who can work simultaneously. So I'll just show you how you can do it. I'll just drop it into the chat over here so that anyone who wants to check the repository can visit as well. Now moving on next, you see that I was sitting onto my computer and I had made certain changes which have now been reflected onto the system, that is GitHub account, and anyone on the internet can clone those changes or pull those changes to add on further things onto it. Now, these are the benefits which we talk of when we are using GitHub. Now, moving further, what we need to do is we need to understand how these changes are reflected and what is a pull request or how to contribute to a task. So what we'll do is we will simply move up ahead to the task which we would be doing, and all those who would be completing the task would be receiving certificates from Incubate IND. So I request everyone to open your desktop, move over to one of the browsers, and then open your GitHub account if not yet done. And if anyone is facing any issues, please do put it up on the chat because we would be doing the task soon. For the task, what we would be doing is that we would be moving to the official GitHub organization of KLI EIT Institute, so that all those changes or all the contributions that you are making over here would be reflected to your faculty members and they can assess your progress. So I request everyone to get over to this link, the link which I am sending over to you. And while completing the task or understanding what the task is, we will also get to know how to work around with it, as well as understand the basic principles of GitHub. So I request everyone to move over to the aforementioned link which I'm sending right now. And remember, this is the link to your official GitHub organization of the college through which you would be able to make the changes. So it's a request that all of you could just move over there, and then we will, if anyone has any queries, we can simply resolve it as well as make further changes. So I request everyone, once they have reached onto this website, all that you need to do is click on fork, which is present on the top right, the user account which you need to fork to, and we will move ahead with the task. And once again, I would say only those who would be completing the task would be able to receive the certificates. So kindly fork the repository. I could see that two of them have already forked. I'll wait for a couple of more minutes, and if anyone has any issues forking the repository, please drop it into the chat section over here and I would be happy to help. So yeah, I hope that none of you are facing any problem, it seems. Once again, I would request everyone to fork, and if anyone has any issues forking it, just put up the query because this will help you in attaining the certificate as well as completing the project submission during the hackathon. So I'll just show you the steps. Once you land over to this repository, click on fork. Okay, yeah, I'll repeat the last steps. Once you click on this link, all you need to do is click on to fork on the top right hand side corner. Once you have clicked on it, what you will see is that you will see the list of organizations or your username of which you are part. Just select your username. That is, from in my case, my username is kroy96. I would simply select it, and you will see a screen like this which says that forking KLEIT, and then once forked successfully, you will see your username slash KLEIT getting started with GitHub and a statement which reads forked from KLEIT. So once you see this, you can understand that your forking has been done successfully. So I'll wait for a couple of minutes more for others to complete the fork because I can see 13 of them have already forked. one being myself. Now I'll wait for a few minutes and then we will move ahead with the task. And at the end, we will be generating a pull request. In the meantime, if anyone has any query regarding GitHub or any sort of query, whether it is for app development, web development, any sort of query regarding computer science, you can ask it over here onto the chat and I would be happy to help. So yeah, after forking, we would be continuing with the steps. Ultimately, we would be generating a pull request. Yes, there is a need to generate the pull request to complete the task, but we'll wait for a few more seconds and then we will just start with the steps on how to generate a pull request.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Should we put the code which we have already made, or just we have to put a repository?
Sorry, could you please be a bit louder?
Should we just put a repository?
So right now what we would be doing is that we would be generating a pull request, and for that to complete all you need to do is fork a repository, that is this repository which you have, which I had created onto the organization, GitHub organization of your college, and then add in a few files. So that is the usual procedure wherein you add the entire project files, but right now we would be only doing it for a sample example as a task. So we would be simply adding a file directly from here to understand what a pull request is. Later on, you can always add in an entire folder or a directory into a forked repository and then generate a pull request. So you can do a number of things while you are generating a pull request. I hope that answers your query.
Yes, sir.
So let's move ahead because I see that 17 of them have already forked. What we need to do next is that once you see that you have forked successfully, and to understand that whether you have forked or not, you can go hover over here and find that your account is your username is present just before the GitHub repository name. Move over to add file, which is just beside go to file. Click on create new file. And once you have created new file, what you can see is that you get an option to type in the file name. All you need to do is type in your name. So in my case, it is Kaushik Roy. I will just type in my name. Please do type your name because this is the only way we would be able to track that who has completed the task, and only then we would be able to provide the certificates. So once you have typed in your name, press backslash so that it generates into a folder, and then type readme.md, which states that this is a markdown file and you can type in anything. Now once done, all you need to do is type in something. Say for example, right now I'll just type my name is. So all you need to do is type in your name and something that you like for example, I am good in Java. I hope I'm pretty much clear up till here and no one is facing any issues. If you do, please drop it into the chat or unmute yourself and ask the question. Then type in a commit message which says your name and is adding, so that we get to know who has added those changes. And then click on commit directly to main branch and select commit new file. Once done, you will land back to the page wherein you were there, that is your username slash the repo name, which states that this is a forked repository. And if you would see, you would find that a readme.md has been created inside Cosicroy folder. Now, if you would see over here, just follow it precisely. You can see that there's a pull request option present over here. Just click on it. And you will find able to merge. Then again click on create pull request. Just check that the message states your name is adding. And then again click on create pull request. So this is all that you are required to do. And then that's it. That is what you would require to do. And you can see the people who have already completed the task, their name is appearing over here. Yeah, sure. I'll just repeat the steps once again so that how to create the Readme file as well as repeat the commit steps. Sure, I'll just do it. So as we can see, pull requests are being generated and people are able to do it. Now, for all those who may have missed out the steps, I will redo it once again. So I'll just go back over here. So all you need to do is I'll just fork it from a different account so that I'm able to show you the steps once again. Go to fork, select the user ID. So this time I will select, since my username is not present, because I've already used it, I'll select incubate IND. Once the forking is done, what you can observe is that on the top left hand side corner, you find that the username to which the repository has been forked. Now what you need to do is go to add file, create new file, just type in your name. For this instance, it is incubate IND. Press in a backslash and then type in readme.md. That's it. Once you have typed in readme.md, type my name is incubate IND and something, say for example, I'm Gooden. Once you have done this, scroll down, go to commit new file, type in the commit message which says your name, and then commit directly to the main branch and commit new file. Once done, all you need to do is get over to the pull request section. I hope there are no more confusion right now. and you see able to merge, click on create pull request. Just check that the message states your name is adding. Again, click on create pull request. And once done, you are done with the entire process. Now I'd request everyone to complete the task because 9 people have done, though 22 of them had forked. So I request everyone to complete the steps. And if there are any queries, I'm present over here to answer your queries out. Meanwhile, we'll wait, and if anyone has any sort of queries, you can simply ask me by unmuting yourself or even putting it up on the chat. I'm happy to help.
Sir, while pulling, we have to write the title name.
Yeah, you need to add in a message for the pull request so that the administrator of that repository understands who is generating the pull request and for what purpose. Now, till the time anyone has any query, I'll just move to the presentation to check whether we have completed the tasks. We have done git clone. We have forked a repository. We have generated pull and push as well. We have generated the pull request, and we have completed the entire steps. All you need to do is that while you would be submitting your project in during the hackathon, you would be required to read the steps and complete the task, and to find where the tasks or the procedure for it is mentioned, you would see that in the repositories there is a readme file which states the entire procedure, that is the submission procedure, and that is what you would be required to follow. And all those who are able to successfully generate the pull request would be receiving a certificate. Now this is the repository for your hackathon, wherein you would be generating the pull request with the entire set of instructions that you need to do for doing so. So you can go through it anytime. I'll just drop this link as well. And if you want to understand what GitHub is or get to know what how helpful it would be and understand more deeper and in more better way, you can directly move over to one of the important resource websites from GitHub, which is lab.github.com. I'm just dropping it into the chat as well. So if at all, if you have any queries post this session, you can always ping me on LinkedIn, or even you can move over to this site. I'll just open it and show it to you so that you understand. So if you move over to lab.github.com, you will find instruction sets like introduction to GitHub, GitHub Actions, and different things which you can use while understanding the project and the procedure. So this would be quite helpful for you in the longer run if you have any queries. Other than that, apart from this, if you feel that you have a doubt or you want to ask me something or you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and I would be happy to help. I'll just drop in my LinkedIn URL over here so that you can reach out to me. I hope the session was informative and you have learned something about what GitHub is and how to work around with it. So if at all anyone has an query, we can just get it resolved right
Excuse
now.
me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, after entering our name, what should we do?
All you need to do is generate a pull request. So I'll just show you what to do. Once again, I'll just move on to my repository, which is wherein I had forked it. You can move over to the forked repository. Then after adding the file and your name, you need to click on pull request and then click on this would be appearing as create pull request if you have not created. Otherwise, if you have already created, it would come as view pull request. So you can do that, and that's it. Other than that, nothing is required. So hope you have learned something about GitHub and you would be interested about what GitHub is and getting to know its features. So if there are not any more queries, we can just wrap up the session. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll just move on.
Sir, just we need to press pull request. That's it.
Yeah, that is all what you're required to do.
Okay.
So
Kaushik,
let's wrap
Kaushik,
up then. Yeah, hi.
Kaushik, I have one thing. See, after I write the code, how to upload it then?
Okay, so to upload the code, I'll just go over here, which is Visual Studio Code. So say for example, I'm working on one of the IDs and I have written some code and I want it to be reflected onto the GitHub repository. So say I've created a few files. I'll name it just test.html or any Python file or any sort of thing. I'll just add in a few codes, bulk codes right now. I'll just save it and then go to the terminal of the Visual Studio Code or any ID that you have. Type in the commands which are git add, which allows the file to be added to the local repository, which is it gets indexed for the repository. Then the next step would be to add in a commit message which states that you are committing or saying that I have made certain changes and I am committing this, as well as let your fellow developers understand what you have done. So type in a message, say for example, I have created a test file in this case. So I'll just type it so that the developers understand. Once done, all you need to do is you will have to push those changes. So if I'll move on to the repository that I had created, which is linked over here, you can find that even though I refreshed it, only index.html is present. And now as soon as I will type in git push origin mean, this is the command to push those changes or upload the changes in a normal way to the GitHub repository. What you will find is that it says that these many changes have been made to https github.com/kroy96/ this repository. And now if I'll move over to the repository and then click on refresh, you will find that the test.html file has been uploaded and you can see the contents over here as well. So this is the procedure to upload the files onto the GitHub repository.
Thank you, thank you.
So I hope there aren't any more queries. If there are, please ping me. Otherwise, I hope that it was an informative session and everyone has got something from it. Thank you, everyone. This was Kaushik Roy from Incubate India.
Yeah, thank you, Kaushik. That was a nice presentation. Learned a lot today.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Thank you for sharing those things. Because personally, I was trying that. How can I use it? Today, I learned something very useful. Thank you very much. Yes, Shakti, Mr. Shakti, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So what is next?
So if people do not have any further queries,
Hmm.
then we are good to wrap up now. Uh, any of the participants who have queries later on at any end, Kaushik has also shared his LinkedIn ID. They can add him and ask the queries directly on via DMs also.
Kaushik, we have a question.
Yeah,
Can
sure.
we? Yeah. So basic thing is we have the servers and we have the infrastructures over here.
Okay.
Can we set up this complete GitHub in our server?
Yeah, sure. So all you need to do is whatever the server is and however it is uploaded. So you may be having a mechanism to upload the servers or set up a pipeline. You can do that directly through GitHub. So in GitHub, you get the option to create GitHub Actions, and the pipeline is being set, whether it is through Jenkins or any other pipelining system. And then you can directly upload your server from anywhere in the world when you have the access to your GitHub account and that repository is linked onto the server. So from anywhere you can upload that server. So these are the facilities that you can utilize for your organization as well.
Do you have any links and resource informations how to do that?
Yeah, sure. So what I'll do is I'll just share a link of GitHub Actions. So if you move over to, I'll just share my screen once again. So if you observe in any of the repositories, you will find actions over here. And if you click on it, you will get the set of instructions or get to understand how the GitHub actions are set and how you can set it up as a default mechanism to deploy it. And if you have any form of uh, specific server setup, that is, you can deploy Node.js directly to Azure Web App or any sort of thing, you will find the entire list of descriptions and the documentation over here. So you can move over to GitHub Actions and that would help you. So I'll just drop in the link of it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So once you create any of the repositories, you can simply move over to the actions over here, just beside pull requests, and you will find the entire set of instructions, how to set up a pipeline.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, then shall we wind up?
Sure, sir.
Oh,
I believe we do not have any more queries. If
yeah.
anyone have, yes, Kaushik is still available on the call, so you can ask him directly. You can unmute yourself. If not, then we are good to go. Thank you everyone for joining in today,
Yeah.
and I believe it was a great learning experience. We also learned a lot.
Yeah. True. Okay, then we shall wind up the session. Pradeep, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there, sir.
Yeah, yeah. You please proceed with the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank everyone for this gathering on workshop on GitHub. So today, um I thank Kaushik Roy sir and Shakti Singh sir for their presence to educate us on GitHub page. So we are delighted with your presence and to know about all the procedures in GitHub. Thank you so much for being with us and guiding us, sir. We look forward to execute many such events in our institute. And I thank our beloved principal, Dean sir, and HOD Riswamy sir, and the whole team of computer science family to execute this event. I thank you one and all for.
Thank you, Pradeep. So we shall close the session then. See you. Good luck.